I still remember when I had my first drink ever. It was probably when I was 13 or 14 years. This is now like 3 or 4 years ago. And I just want to say it's like the normal age in Europe. It's also legally here in Germany to drink when you're 14 years of age with your parents aside. Back then, and still to this day, many of my friends were drinking or are drinking on like a weekly or monthly basis. And so I thought, let's give it a try. And let me tell you, I gave it a try and it was really not that bad. It was of course not the best, but I think it was okay. And I knew back then that it had some problems with it that were also harming my body. But only now later I was specifically knowing what is really the bad side to alcohol. And I'm not here to tell you, oh, don't drink, never drink. You want to make the experience? Okay. But I still want to say we must be careful, and I want to know, why do we have to be careful and why do we even drink in such a young age? So let us start first of all with the adolescence. The adolescence basically describes a brain mutation process from the age of 12 to 25. It's like a growth process of your brain. And there are some changes that the brain has to undergo. So for example, key changes are synaptic pruning, which means that those synapses are being cut off that your brain doesn't need. Then you have myelination. So your synapses have a myelin sheath, which is like, you can think of it as a protection, but also like a lubricant that makes your connections faster, like your thoughts faster. And then we also have a reorganization of our neural circuits. Our prefrontal cortex evolves very slow until like we are 20, then it's on a good stage but not really fully evolved. Our prefrontal cortex is therefore impulsivity and decision making. Our amygdala and our nucleus accumbens, which are our nucleus accumbens is part of the reward system for like dopamine, and the amygdala is like for emotions. They evolve really fast, and this makes the following problems. When we are in our adolescence, our pleasure seeking or our sensation seeking is stronger than our caution and our rationality. We also have the problem that there are more habit loops because our dopaminergic system evolves quite fast, but we don't have this limiting factor from our prefrontal cortex. Another problem that we as adolescents have when consuming alcohol specifically is that we are less sensitive to factors like hangovers or sedation, but more responsive to the dopamine that is being submitted from the alcohol in our brain. I want to go over to reasons that are found on the internet, like for example from Reddit, Quora, and also scientific studies, why the youth drinks. I'm part of the youth, but as I don't really drink anymore, I don't really have that many different points of view based on this. But the first point that I can somewhat agree on is peer pressure or social acceptance. In the adolescence phase, we have a higher social reward system, social acceptance phase. We do like it more when we are socially accepted, because later I will also get on to, we try to find our identity, and if we are part of something, this gives us somewhat a part of identity. Hence, peer approval is quite motivating, which leads to many youths drinking just simply because of peer pressure. The second fact is curiosity and experimentation. You just want to try it out. And this is also with the sensation seeking that I have talked about earlier. And because we have some surges from our dopamine system, if we do this or play with the thought of doing it, this sensation, this curiosity, then dopamine is being released. Some people drink because they want to relieve stress and want to flee from their emotions. Because it's quite clear that alcohol submits dopamine, and dopamine reduces stress, and also GABA is being released that also reduces stress in your brain. Some people might have the desire for independence. As I said, as we are young, we try to find ourselves an identity, and everybody does it in a different way, which is totally okay. And in order to make it a bit easier for ourselves to find ourselves an identity, we try to imitate the behaviors of adults. We try to search adult-like behaviors because perhaps we want to also be like an adult and try to we see adults and they already have an identity, and we try to imitate this. So we do adult behaviors. So we seek adult behaviors, and that's why we also tend to grab to the bottle. And boredom and craving excitement also plays a big role. This, once again, sensation seeking, but also thrill seeking, which is induced by dopamine releases. And sometimes you're bored and you try to get over this boredom, even though boredom is quite needed. But this is for another video. Easy access and influences from media and family. I mean, if it's already there, if your parents do it, you're highly likely to also do it, even though it must not be this way. It can be this way, or if the family has some trauma cases, then you might also tend to do it. But if you're being influenced through social media, through people that do it, this is also like acceptance seeking. You seem like you're part of it. Why is drinking so harmful? What does it do? Let's go over back to our prefrontal cortex. When we drink, we have worse decision making and higher impulsivity. Because of what? Because the prefrontal cortex does not grow that good under alcohol. The growth is hindered and the volume is reduced. And the smaller your prefrontal cortex, the higher your risk is that you have really bad impulsive reactions and really bad decision making. So then let's go over to the hippocampus. When you drink, the hippocampus has impaired neurogenesis, which basically also means growth. And you have volume reduction, so not only impaired growth, but also it's shrinking down. The hippocampus is there for your memory. You have memory deficits, but also learning issues. What is with your reward system? You drink a lot, this induces dopamine, and when you have something quite a lot, we see it with diabetes and glucose, that if you have it a lot, you get sensitive, and there you have dopamine sensitivity. At first you crave it because you want the dopamine, but you are building a tolerance over time as you are drinking more and more and having more and more dopamine released. So it's not only one bottle, but it's 2, it's 3, and so on. Your white matter, which is there for processing speed in your brain, is also being impaired. How come? So you have disrupted myelination, which is basically the process of building new myelin sheath around your synapses that makes it more fast. And then you have reduced integrity as well. Then let's go over to the amygdala, which is there for your emotions. It's really just an interplay between the hippocampus and the amygdala. The hippocampus, it saves your memory, and the amygdala saves the emotion attached to the memory. So the amygdala is also there for fear and anxiety. So if you drink and your amygdala is being impaired, then it can be that you have bad anxiety attacks and that you have fear. What are probable solutions that I thought of? Get help. That's the easiest one. If you have problems, you need to get some help. Or of course not drink. This is also a solution. The problem is that it's really your dopamine system. There's so many habit loops and you can break them all part on part, but it's really just the drinking. There might be some other problems, you need to take care of them, but it's the drinking problem perhaps. You can get away from the group of people that tends to peer pressure you into this. I know it's hard, it's social isolation perhaps, but it's better sometimes to have a good health than to be peer pressured into destroying your health. Or to get off of the alcohol, mix it with water. Try to get it slowly. Or if you're watching this video just out of information seeking, then don't start drinking. That's easy. I guess it's easier to not start drinking than to stop it, but it is possible and you need to really go deep into yourself. And if you enjoyed today's video, found it a bit interesting, helpful, consider leaving a like and subscribe. We can see us again in the next video, where I talk about humans and what makes human the way they are, how they act and behave.